Hi, this is Simon Obstill and welcome to another tutorial for Apple Motion, and this is going to be another of my rambles through the process of making a project, and we're going to be looking at making something that looks a bit like this. So, a bit wispy, a bit shell-like, quite interesting. Let's give it a go. Okay, so let's start with a new project. Let's go for 1920 1080, 25 frames a second. 30 seconds is probably long enough. And the first thing I want to do, I think, is to grab the rectangle tool and make a rectangle. So hold down the shift key to make it square. Let's center it up. I think I'm going to go with something like 720 for this, and probably some rounded corners. Let's go for 50. Yeah, I think that's going to be good. Not sure about the width. I want this to be quite a fine effect. So let's maybe go down to 5. We might revisit that. I think then what I want to do is I want to make a replicator. Actually, make a replicator out of this rectangle. That's fine. We don't need to make it out of the group. So, object replicate. So there are different ways in which we can do this. We could switch to line and zero out the left and right, but let's do it with the rectangle and simply have one row, and let's have 0 for the size, and let's have 6 columns, I think. And the trick here is the angle end, so let's go for 360 for that. I think maybe have some angle randomness in there. Let's go for 45, something like that probably. So then what I want to do is I want to use an underwater filter to get this all to ripple, and that's going to be what's going to make this look nice, I think. So let's try that. So where are we? Distortion underwater. So that's looking like that. Oh, it's a bit too fast. Let's slow it down. Let's go for 0.1. You kind of think that's probably what I want. Now, you saw that up here we had this thing where you can see it kind of hitting the edge, and that's because I think what we need to do is we need to pre-compose our rectangle, our original rectangle. So I'm going to right click and group and come over to the library generators. Let's drag in a color solid, turn back on our rectangle, move the rectangle above the color solid, make the color solid black. And then we can use this group as the source for the replicator. So drag that into there. And the reason we're now not seeing the effect is because obviously we've added that black and the replicator is not working. We could just switch to additive blend, but that's still not going to be okay, I don't think, for our next stage. But you can see that sorted out that problem with it sort of getting chopped off. So I think that is looking quite nice now. But what we need to do is we'll need to kill that black. So we can do it very simply by just adding here a masks and keying luma keyer. You can see that's already changed something. In actual fact, if we look at the alpha, what's that looking like? Oh, no, that's no good. Why is that looking? Oh, we need to turn off the original group. There you go. Yeah, we can hide this original group. And now that's the alpha channel. So you can see we've got full transparency back there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this group that we've made and I'm going to replicate that. So object replicate, and well, the original group is turned off. So let's do the same thing. Let's stick with rectangle. Let's have one column, and this time I want loads of rows. Let's go for 72. And again, let's set the size to 0. And then again, it's a question of adjusting this angle end. So let's go for 270 this time. And let's have some angle randomness. Again, let's go for 45. Oh, and I think the other thing I need to do is adjust this scale end. So let's go down to 10 for that. Okay, so it's looking a bit of a mess so far. Maybe I need to turn on additive blend, probably. Okay, I think what we need to do is we need to sort out our colors here. So let's come down to color mode and choose over pattern. Yeah, this is going to be better. So let's just make this one here on the right nice and dark. I want this sort of purpley look to the whole thing. I don't know why. Just sort of appeals to me, I think. Something like this. Let's make another one, another tag just here. So around, I don't know, 5%. And let's make this also darker. Yeah, here we go. This is good. So how's this looking now? Let's just turn off the overlays. So that's more the sort of thing I'm looking for. Why is it not really working? I think what I might do is I might rotate my rectangle and see if that improves things. So let's come to the rectangle and rotation and add parameter behavior ramp. Let's try an end value of -90. That's looking a bit nicer. Let's take this group here and just add to it a blur and radial blur. And that's all much too much. But if we dial back the mix value to something like 30, you'll see we're getting this sort of nice soft effect. I quite like that. I think we probably need to fix our colors here on the replicator. Maybe this initial color just needs to be darker as well. Maybe make it more blue. Don't know. Is it good with additive blend on or off? No, we obviously need it on because we obviously need to blend those layers. What about our original replicator? Oh, we have turned that on there. Well, that was kind of interesting, the difference that makes. If we turn that off, that's kind of got an interesting look in its own right. But I don't think it's what we actually want. You know what I might try? I don't know whether this is going to make a difference, is move that Luma key down to this group. No, it makes no difference at all. Forget that. Let's undo that. I know what I'm going to try is I'm going to take this replicator and I'm going to come to color and threshold. And then just threshold it till... Ah, that's more like it, isn't it? So we're getting a much wispier effect like that. That's better. Maybe we just come back into our rectangle and reduce that outline down a bit. That's nicer. It's still not quite giving me the effect that I want. Maybe let's try rotating this replicator, the first one. Let's add parameter behavior ramp. Let's try an end value of -60. That's nicer. It's still not what I want. I think I might come into this replicator. Let's maybe try adding an opacity tag there at the right-hand side and reducing that down a bit. No, that's not working. Maybe it's working. Okay, here's another thing I'm going to try. I'm going to try selecting this replicator and adding a Gaussian blur to it. And let's do a sort of differential blur. Let's first of all set the amount up to 32. And let's maybe just kill one of these values. So kill the horizontal maybe and just reduce the mix value. And actually drop that below the threshold. There you go. That's what I wanted. Look at the difference that's made. It's given us this much more interesting look. Yeah, I think I'm liking that much more. We're getting a much more organic look, I think. Let's just try adding a color curves to the top of everything. Color curves and Luma, and just bring that up a bit like that, like this. Maybe just take out, or maybe just add in a bit of red. Let's try adding some red in like that. Red in down here maybe. Oh yes, yeah, quite like that. Right. Dramatic. So I think I might try adjusting this threshold a bit. There you go. Get more smoothness. Probably works better, doesn't it? Like that. So that's... I'm trying to get more of a sense of it sort of fading off. Maybe this replicator here... We did try adjusting that opacity, didn't we? Does it work taking it all the way down? So that's full opacity. Yeah, that kind of works. And maybe moving this around a bit. I think what I might do is just have a look at this angle randomness on my second replicator. Maybe that's too much. Maybe it's too random. If we set it to 0, we get this nice sort of geometrical effect, which is quite good. So maybe just go up to 10 on that. That's more the sort of look that I want, I think. Yes. Let's increase its angle end and maybe go for 360. Oh yes, I quite that I like now. It's getting that wispy look. And what if that angle randomness was just 5 or something? Oh yes, I like that. So I think that's pretty much the way I want it to look. Maybe not entirely convinced about those colours, but otherwise I think that's pretty good. So having finished that, I went away and had a coffee, and then a couple of ideas occurred to me. One of the things I thought would be interesting is to come back to the rectangle and just adjust its last point offset. So I haven't tried this yet. I think it's very around sort of 66. I think that's quite interesting. Let's leave that for now. And my other thought was to add, maybe to this replicator here, a gradient blur. So let's add that, and let's just turn on the overlays while I set this up. So I quite like that. So let's turn that off again. Let's enable it and disable it. It's giving you that sort of interesting quasi sort of depth of field thing. Not convinced about that last point offset. Let's forget about that. I don't know. No, I do quite like it actually. I quite like even going down to sort of there. But the other thing maybe we could try was that gradient blur and actually put it on this group, the rectangle group. And again, let's come back and adjust those. Oh, that's quite interesting. So that versus that. I do quite like that, I think. What do you reckon? Maybe just increase the amount or decrease the amount. That's 100%. Let's turn it on and off. So off. Really do quite like that. Don't know, just another idea for you to play with. 100%, really quite interesting. We've taken out almost all of the detail that we've carefully put in, but it's got something rather nice about it there. I don't know. Hopefully I've given you plenty of ideas that you can play with, and you've sort of seen through my thought process in putting all this together. So, hope that was useful. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.